Alright, so here's step one of the geothermal. You need to dig a trench. I'm gonna dig mine 100 feet, probably more, from this side all the way down to there. And I'm gonna make it maybe 4 feet wide. Try and make it about 6 feet at least down. So from here, luckily I have sand. Some people will probably have clay, some other sort of soil. It's harder to dig in, but looks like I'm going to be digging this. So that's the first step. I'll be giving some updates on how much I've dug each day, because I will not be doing this in one day. But the heat's about to hit us. Tractor doesn't have the right attachment for digging right now, so it's on back order. And looks like this is going to be my chore for a week or more. Alright, so all I'm doing is making the outline for the trench, and you can tell about how wide it is from here to here. It's going the entire length all the way down there. Only put about 15 minutes in so far. It's gonna be a long, arduous task. All right, so this is a little over an hour of digging. And what I'm thinking now is, because I'm gonna have to coil this tubing up, I won't really need an exact 100 feet, because I'm gonna buy 100 feet coils of this, and I'm probably only gonna need 200 feet. And my goal is to almost have this split in half, where I have one 100 foot coiled and then have the other 100 foot coiled on this side, and then it's going to go into the side of the house here, where I'll have the radiator set up, and that's the goal right now anyway. So I'm thinking maybe 200 feet, maybe a little bit over 200 feet, just because I think this right here is at least 80 feet. And then I'm gonna have another probably 20 feet down this way or more. So probably need 300 feet of coil for this, but the more coil, the more water I can cool down, the more consistent my temps are gonna be, and the more radiators I could cool down with more footage of hosing. So really doesn't hurt. It's really just more money that has to be put into it up front if I'm gonna do more feet of pipe. But it'd be better to get it done now, especially if I'm gonna manually dig all this. So that's 1 hour. All right, so did some chores for about 2 to 3 hours, ate some dinner, and decided I'd work on it some more. 20 minutes, and I'm just trying to take out this entire middle section now. So haven't really made it too far, but you can see where I'm digging this out. and I'm just tossing it on the sides, and we could still use the tractor to push all this back in after I dig it out. So I am trying to make it where these sandbanks will eventually be high up, and I can just come behind it with the tractor and just push this all back in once I get the system set up and running. But yeah, so I'm gonna try and get a little bit more done. I'll show you that, and this will be same day, first day working on the geothermal. All right, so it's been about an hour 10, hour and 15, and doesn't really look like much now, but I mean, I've moved a lot. I moved a lot of dirt today, and still got at least another hour or so on that strip over here. But it's a little bit thinner, and once I get down to this area, I am going to make a left turn and bring it all the way in to the house. So it'll come down, cut off here, and then I'll probably make a hole somewhere down there so I can put the hoses in, and that'll connect to the radiator. All right, it is the next day, and got about that much more to go. So let's see how this goes. First session of the second day of digging. All right, so it's been about another hour and 15 minutes, so around 4 hours total now, and got right until there. That's gonna cut off, go into the house, but that's at least another 45 minutes of digging, and then I'll finally have this long strip down. All right, so I put in about 5 hours to get it dug out. I don't know exactly how many feet it is, but it's about double the length of my house, which is about 40 feet long. And so I'm gonna say it's at least 80 feet long, probably honestly longer. But now that I've got dug out, I bought some tubing today, and I'm gonna just wrap out 100 feet and see what that looks like. And I may have to buy more, just so I can coil it. It's the point of buying more than just 100 feet so that you can coil it and get more surface area, so it cools down more water and you can cool down your radiator quicker. So I'm gonna get some tubing that I bought today, start down here and pull it down and see how far it stretches out. I might need more tubing, honestly, because this is pretty wide. It's definitely long. All right, so this is what I have. I have 3 sets of 100-foot, 1-inch polyethylene tubing, and yeah, this is it right here. Got it from Lowe's. It was maybe like $60 a coil. And then I've got these 1-inch couplings, and this will be to connect these together. And then I've got I've got this adapter here that screws into a female elbow, 1-inch elbow, and that is going to be a connection that I put to the 2 ends that I'm going to leave open. So I'm going to connect these together, and then there's going to be one side that has an opening and then another side that has an opening, and I'm going to attach these to the end of it, and that'll be at the end of this. So it'll attach to the end, and then this elbow will point towards the building, and that'll allow me to bring the tubing to the building and inside. And I'm gonna dig a trench for the rest of the tubing that goes towards the building, but it's not gonna be anywhere near as wide, and it'll probably slope. So this is gonna go down 6 feet, and I'm gonna start this tubing that goes into the house at 6 feet, but it's going to slope up, so it's not as hard of an angle for it to pull, the pump to pull it. So we'll see how that goes. Oh, and I've got these 1-inch pinch clamps, and this is a pinch clamp tool, and that'll just be to secure the tubing to these couplings, and to secure it to the inside into this. So I've seen some other videos where they heat up the tubing and melt it onto metal fittings, which that might be even better for me, but I think what I want to do right now is use this pinch clamp tool and maybe some PVC cement, and cement all this up, and then do a leak test. And if all that is good, then, you know, I probably won't melt it. All right, so as you can see, this tubing, I actually had it connected down at that shovel, and it's got a few bends in it, so I don't think this is exactly 100 feet, maybe like 95 or so, but that's not really what I wanted, because I'm still gonna have to cut in to the house here. So I think what I'll do, since I have 3 tubes, is I'll coil one down here and make it to where both ends meet out, kind of like more towards this area, and then I should have enough length to connect this one and this one and the other one that I'm gonna stretch out, connect it, and still get that turn so it can go inside. So that's the first one coil that I'm gonna coil up. It's gonna have to come somewhere around here, and honestly I might need to buy another coil, but at least one coil right here, and it's gonna come up all the way. I'm gonna try and get it to halfway, the halfway point right here. I'm not really sure how that's gonna happen, where I have both hoses connected to one hose that's coiled, but yeah, I'll have to figure that out. So I want to get one tube length about halfway. That'll be about 50 feet, or, you know, just a little under, and then I can connect these 2 other hoses and make sure that I connect them and they have enough to get into the house. All right, so it looks like it's actually over 100 feet. How many feet do you have over there still?
I'd say probably another 5.
So yeah, it's about 105 feet. Didn't measure it.
I could probably lay flat my body, you know?
Nice. Okay. So yeah, 300 feet, honestly, if you're making it about 6 feet wide, I would say you'd only need to dig about 50 feet of a trench, because this is just going to be way too much. I could literally just lay this all out straight. Yeah, I don't know why I did that. Dug too much, but I still need to dig down a lot deeper. So what I'm thinking is I'll start digging deep on this side, see how long it takes me to get about 6 feet at around 50 feet of trench, 6 feet down, and I could still coil everything up and just use half of it. And this other section that I've dug here, I might just use it for something. I don't know. Maybe I'll dig like a cellar or something over there. But with 300 feet, I don't need to use nearly as much of this. So I'm kind of upset that I wasted that much time, but at the same time, I'm glad that I'll have enough room to do this. All right, so this is the third day, and I'm about 8 hours and 15 minutes in to digging, and I think my lowest point is right here, which is only maybe 2.5, 3 feet, 3 feet down from right there. So still got a ways to go. Got to get down to at least 6 feet, and I still got to do all this, the rest of that. Maybe in a few more days I'll be done. All right, it is 4th day, and I'm about 10 hours of digging, and it's about as deep as we've got so far. It's really not as deep as I'd planned it to be. At this pace, it probably won't be done till next week sometime, but slowly it's getting there. So just another update. I'm gonna keep going. All right, I'm gonna show you how I've been digging this trench in case somebody wants to dig a trench, which I would not suggest. I would suggest renting a tractor. That's if you have the money. It's probably like $500 for the day or something. So money that I don't have to spend right now. So this is what I'm doing. I'm digging from behind, and as I dig from behind it, I'm compacting this soil so it gives it enough tension to actually clump up. I'm just tossing it to the side. If I were to do it this way, I'd have to stab into it and toss it, which to me takes longer. So you can see that all this dirt behind this smooth area right here, there's a bunch of dirt that's kind of like this, and it's just not compact. So as I'm working at it from behind, I'm able to stab my shovel in and still get a good clump. Whereas if I were to do that the opposite way, initially none of this would be compact. It would just be kind of loose like that, and I've noticed a lot more falls off or rolls off. So this is the way I've been doing it. I'm just going down row by row, alternating the hands that I throw it out with, so one side doesn't get imbalanced, and so that the side, so that I'm using both sides so that I don't tire out too quickly as well. Just take my time doing each row. It's really not. That thing just stabbed into my foot. Check how sharp that stick is. Sharp. But yeah, that's it. That's all I've been doing. Just taking it down little by little. And eventually I'll be there. Alright, so I'm at about 12 hours now. And this is what I have. Still have a ways to go. This is the deepest area probably. And it's maybe only 2.5, 3 feet down, so yeah, still have ways to go. All right. It is Saturday, 5th day digging, about 13 hours in. All right, I think this is about 14, 15 hours in. I got my brother with me helping me. And yeah, got a little bit more done. It's getting a little bit deeper, getting closer. All right, we're about 17 hours in now. And starting to get a lot harder for me because all the soil is starting to get a lot more clay in it, and as I let it sit, it hardens up and it gets to be a lot harder to push my shovel down in there, so I have to take thinner scoops, and just overall taking a lot longer now. But I think that's about 4 feet deep now. About 4 feet in. And really want to try and get to 6 feet, but we'll see how this goes. Still have a lot more to do. All right. Got my girlfriend helping me today. We're on about 18 hours. And I think I'm starting to hit some actual more clay than sand type soil. It's getting really hard. It's staying together really well. It's really vibrant, a lot more moist than the sandy soil. And it's a lot harder to dig through. So we're not even, I don't even think we're 5 feet down yet. You can see how hard that is. And it's not even as deep as this shovel yet. So I think we maybe coming to an end here. This last little bit's gonna be hard. All right, 20 hours in, maybe a little bit more, not really sure at this point, but I've been narrowing the width at the end here, been narrowing it down some, just because it's so wide over here and it's a lot thinner over here, and also just because it takes a lot longer when this is, you know, around 6 to 7 feet and this is around 3 to 4 feet wide, digging all of this. So I'm narrowing it. That'll help me get down quicker, and hopefully it won't really affect the hose. So all I'm doing is I'm trying to get through all this clay right now, and it still has sand in it, but you can tell it's getting a lot more dense with clay. I can squeeze this and it holds shape. So it definitely has clay in there, but not enough for me to really throw or build anything with it yet. I don't know if we'll find that here, but I think after I get low enough down, I might stop at 5 feet, because this clay is taking everything out of me, and it's starting to get closer to the hotter days now. I've been doing this for 7 days. This will be my 7th day, and yeah, I'm ready to be done. But if you guys ever decide to dig a trench like this, make sure you have the right stuff. Get a hat that covers your shoulders. You can get some white long sleeve button downs from Goodwill, and protect yourself, because if you're gonna be out here in the elements getting blasted every day, this is what's gonna keep you going, especially if you start feeling like you're getting sunburn or something, then you're not gonna want to do anything. So just make sure you're wearing the right gear. All right, guys, so I'm about 5 feet down. Starting to get really hard to get down any further, and I'm really starting to hit this clay. So you can see that even just me brushing up against with my shovel here, that it almost smears. So it's less sand now and more clay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start digging some of this up, collecting it in a 5-gallon bucket, and we'll see if we can make something of it. I can only get a little bit at a time, but I'm gonna try and collect as much of this as I can. That's how much I'm getting. A little bit here. A lot of this is turning red. That would be awesome. Some really red clay. All right, we're about 24, 25 hours in. Not really sure. All I've been doing recently is just breaking up the clay bottom with that guy right there, and kind of just making all these divots level. And within the last 30 minutes or so, my girlfriend helped me keep these down while I coiled them, and really the only way to get them to stay down was to start digging away at the sides so that it would stay down from the weight. I didn't really coil it that well. I actually have a slight kink right there that I just can't get out. It was worse, but I tried applying pressure, I guess inward, to try and flatten that crease out, and it helped it a little bit. But really what I was trying to do was coil, so I folded this tube into it, and I had both sides about the same length, and then I coiled one side and got it as tightly compact into this back end here. So I tried to get in as deep as I could, which really you need to make sure, if you're using a thicker tube like I am, a 1-inch is what I'm using, make sure your walls are wide enough that you don't need to really cram it in there. They can kind of just naturally curl and sit. Mine didn't do that. That's why I kind of got that kink right there. But to keep them down, I had to start bearing it using the sides, and I just curled one side at a time. Then I got the other side and I curled that down too. And really, I don't think there's a technique that I could think of. I was really just trying to twist it, and eventually got a coil out of it and got it into place. But I'm not confident enough to tell you what to do for that. But so I got these two ends kind of similar distance, which I still have 2 more 100-foot long tubes, and I want to connect each side, this one, and then bring these down, maybe coil them a little bit, and then have enough to take it from this corner here all the way into the house. And I'll probably cut a little hole in right there and add it in that way. But yeah, that's it. Can't wait to be done with this. Alright, so today, since it's hot, I'm starting to roll out tubing here, and really found that it's better to do it on a hot day than a day with overcast. And I'm adding these couplings and these 1-inch pinch clamps. So the thing you want to make sure is that you keep the caps on the ends of these hoses until you need to take them off and add your insert. You don't want to take them off too soon, because dirt can get into the tubing and then it can mess with your entire system. So make sure whenever you're going to take off the end caps, you make sure that you're ready to put the insert in. And these are just pinch clamps that I'm using right here, and all you do is, I have them on these, I haven't pinched it yet, but here's another coupling that I'm putting on for this 100-foot tube, and all you do is just add the insert into one side, then put the tube onto the other side, and I stood up like this and just squeeze them together until they can't go in anymore. And I didn't get it all the way on this side right here. Try not to leave any gaps, but I think it'll be fine. But then add your pinch clamps. Pinched about halfway. When you pinch, there should be a little gap. That's a perfect fit. Do it one more time. That just tightens it a all the way down, another little gap right there. And that should keep everything nice and tight on the hose. But we're also going to do a pressure test before we cover all this up, just to make sure that it can actually withstand the pressure of pump and all that stuff. But so what I'm doing with this tubing, because behind you can see that a lot of this tubing, I did it when it was like overcast and it wouldn't stay bent in certain areas, and I had to use the side here to kind of cover these tubes with sand, so really make it as wide as possible. I know that's gonna be kind of a pain, especially if you're digging by hand, but it'd probably make it a lot easier. And you can see I've lost maybe 8 inches to a foot, depending on where you're looking at the tubing, so it's not going to be as cool. But this right here, so all I'm doing is, because it comes taped up, or at least mine have, they come taped up, and I'll just, since it's really hot out right now, just keep my foot on the ground and move this, especially when I'll move this and roll this out. And as I roll it out, it'll actually stay in place. And this has a 50-year warranty on it, so just, you know, keep your stuff, keep your receipts and all that. But yeah, if you roll this out, it'll come out pretty easy. Just keep your foot on it as you're rolling it, and it'll actually start to conform to the ground, and it won't stay in its coil anymore. It does a lot better like that when it's hot out. It's a lot easier to keep the bends. And all I'm planning on doing right here with this tubing is, once I get my other trench dug out that goes to the house, I'll see about how much hose I have left, and if I have, you know, more than 10 feet, I'm going to coil it, and I'll just coil it right here at this area. It's a little bit wider, so it should be a little bit easier to coil. It's still pretty low, so, and then the rest will just go straight into the house. That's about it so far. All right, well, unfortunately, the piece for the tractor did not come, so I can't use the excavator. So I'm just gonna try and dig it all myself up to the house. And the idea that I have right now is, during the day when it's hot, this is a lot more malleable. So I'm hoping that I can make a curve to come in, so I don't have to use any, I don't have to cut anything and make any connection points, and it can kind of just curve from here. Maybe I'll loop it a few times around here if I need to, and then curl through here and go all the way up to the house. I'll drill a hole right there, I'll put that in, and then I'll use all my unions and stuff. I really don't want to use it right now because, one, I don't have that many, and two, the less connection points that you have, I think the better off you'll be in case something does happen with the system. So the only connection point that I'll have really deep is this one over here, and I'll probably mark it so I know exactly where they're at. Everywhere else it's, you know, it's solid, so there should be no way that any water could leak out through there. The only parts that it should leak out through, if it does leak, is these connection points. So the less you have, the better, and that's what I want to try and do. I want to try and just use the natural bend that the hose already has and use that to bend into this trench and down and into the house. Oh yeah, but this is day one, and I've maybe put in 20 minutes, not a lot. This one's gonna be real quick. I think I shouldn't have waited, but once I stopped digging, once I met my goal here and I knew like I couldn't do anymore, my body just stopped for a few days. So yeah, I'm gonna try and hit this. This should be pretty easy. Honestly, I might get it done in like a day or two, and then I should be done, and then I can hook up all my other stuff down there. All right, so I've got it dug, which really maybe took 3 hours, and honestly, I probably should have just did the entire hose like that and just did a back and forth kind of deal, and I think I would have been done a lot quicker. But anyways, I've got it looped down there. It's about 100 feet looped. Well, there is 100 feet looped right from there down to here. That's the deepest point over there too. So we'll have a lot of cold water. It comes up at a slight slope during the middle and then kind of decreases back down a little bit. And I loop that up right here too. Just one loop for each hose. And then this natural curve, I thought I was gonna have to cut these ends and get an elbow to bring it in, but since these naturally curve and I made a natural curve right here, it kind of just flows through pretty easy. And then I gradually increase it because the water pump that I have, it's only rated for 3 feet, so I'm hoping that this slope will help with it. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be drilling right about midway into this panel, and that's where the intake and the outlet for the radiator will be. So I should just be able to go straight in and up and then connect it to the radiator and be done. All right, so I've got my radiator hooked up, and I had to buy some radiator tubes, and I got that at Advanced Auto, and this is for the overflow, and this was just some tubing that I have for my rabbits, and I connected it to a bottle here. And here's the pump I'm using, and I used some tubing, what was it called? Tube rings or something like that. But yeah, it looks like this. I used these to attach it, and then I also used this right here. That around the threads of my pipe. So these threads only come out 1/2 inch. So I don't have very much room. But I used this, wrapped it around it because it was leaking. I've already did a test on it before. It was leaking. So I wrapped this around it, the threads of the pipe, the pump, and then I put that on as well. And then I have these pinch rings that I use for this connection here, and then I taped this back around the threads of these and these because it was coming out the first few tests that I did, and put some more of those on there. the exhaust tube actually fits really well. And yeah, it fits really well here. I cut a hole through the wall and then sprayed foam insulation to kind of hold it in place and to stop, you know, any bugs and stuff from coming in here, obviously. And then I'll cob over that eventually, so that'll be nice and neat. And I haven't really figured anything out yet to get this on like a timer or like get a switch for it. But right now I'm doing is just plugging it in and out, and I'll go ahead and show you guys what that looks like now. So there is, I can still hear some air in there, but see, that's when water's hitting it. So I do have some air in there. I am gonna keep putting water into the radiator as this runs, but yeah, no leaks now, so that's good. And it is running. You can hear it outside as it's running too. Remember, the only other connections that I have is down at the bottom here. But you can hear all the water moving, and there's still a lot of air in the tubing, which I'll have to figure out how to get that out. What I should have done is I should have, before connecting these two hoses, filled as much water as I could into this 100 foot, and then before I connected the radiator to these two hoses, I should have also filled it up with water. But no leaks through here, which is great. And I think I'm ready to start covering this up now. It's getting pretty toasty out here, and I've got a little time left before some major rains start happening, so I don't want it. I want kind of the sand to be covering the tubes again before it rains, so that it can kind of pack all the sand down. But yeah, guys, that's about it. I'll probably do some updates on how it's going and do some experiments and show you kind of the differences in temperature. And what I really want to see is the difference between being inside and being outside, and really how much it takes it down, because with everything set up that we have on the house now, we only get maybe 2 or 3 degrees difference. So yeah, it'll be interesting. All right, so I got the tractor over, covered most of this hole, this trench back in. I'm still gonna have to level this out some by hand, and I covered up everything leading up to the house. And I'm doing my first test today, and it's already looking very promising. All right, so as you can see, it's about 80, pushing out around 80 right now. It's been hovering there for a few minutes. I've only had this running for about 15 minutes now, so it may get cooler. And I also think that the trench, because I just covered it the other day, it hasn't even been 24 hours, that it probably will take a little bit more time to stabilize the temperature where the tubes are at. But this is what the temperature is normally. It's around 87 right now, and it's around 91 degrees outside. So this is, it usually stays about 3 to 4 degrees cooler, and then this just is getting down into the 70s now. And from what I've read, it should be anywhere between 65 to 75 degrees is what this should hold out at. I didn't actually get all the way down to 6 feet, so it may be a little bit higher, but if I could keep a 79 degree temperature around here year round, I would be okay with that. You know, obviously during the winter it's going to be a little bit lower. During the summer it's going to be a little bit higher, but overall, if I can keep a consistent temperature in here, that would be great. But I think this is going to keep going down because the radiator is pretty cool, but it's only really cool right here where the inlet and the outlet are. So I can feel that it's really cool right around this area, but as I get further out of the radiator, it's not as cold. So I'm thinking maybe I just don't have enough water in there yet, which I am cycling this just so that I can get bubbles to the top and then I can fill it back. I made this overflow. I don't remember if I recorded that in my last clip, but I made this overflow here, and it's been helping me out a lot in terms of being able to fill the radiator up. But overall, it's working. You can see it's still dropping in temperature. This right now, I'm hoping that the temperature in here will get lower if I run this long enough. And right now, with it being sunny out, I can run this and 3 fans and have AC pretty much with no loss in electricity. So you can see this is the solar generator that I'm using right now. It's inputting 375, which means it's getting 375 watts per hour from the solar panels that I have it connected to, and it's only outputting 330. So I'm actually at a surplus of about 45, around there, you know. So I can run this for free in terms of energy wise. I can run this for free during the peak times of the day and still have a full battery.